Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are getting into a seriously fascinating concept that is completely revolutionizing how we interact with artificial intelligence. We're talking about LogicStacks and the AI Project Manager. So, let's just jump right in.
Let me ask you a question, and be honest. Are you still talking to AI the old way? Are you tired of typing out those endless, super frustrating text instructions, just kind of crossing your fingers and hoping the AI magically understands exactly what's in your head? Think about it like this. Traditional prompting is honestly a lot like trying to build a complex, custom house by standing in an empty dirt lot and just shouting a verbal description at a builder. Hey, put a wall here, make it tall, throw in a window. Obviously, that leaves way too much room for error, right? You usually end up with a door on the roof and a staircase leading to absolutely nowhere. There has to be a better way to communicate your vision.
Okay, let's dive into this, because what we're really looking at here is a massive paradigm shift. We're moving away from the old way of doing things, that frustrating verbal description method, to a totally new way that basically eliminates all the guesswork from your AI interactions. It's no longer about hoping the AI gets it right, it's about ensuring the AI gets it right. It's all about precision. This is about taking this incredibly powerful engine of artificial intelligence and finally giving it a track to run on, rather than just letting it off-road into the chaotic wilderness of its own training data.
When we actually compare these two methods side by side, the difference is just stark. On one side, you have traditional text prompts. This is the old method, right? Typing out paragraphs of instructions, tweaking adjectives, and essentially trying to code using plain English. But on the other side, we have this concept of LogicStacks, which leverages the source feature. Instead of vaguely describing the house you want built, you are literally handing the AI your exact blueprints, your specific lumber, and your chosen materials. You're giving it the very source documents you want it to use, effectively replacing those lengthy instructions with concrete materials. Now, what's really interesting here is this core terminology, LogicStacks. This is the absolute foundation of our source material today. To truly master this new method of interacting with AI, we really need to understand exactly what a logic stack is and how it functions as the bridge between your ideas and the final output. It sounds a little technical, I know, but as we're about to see, the concept is actually incredibly intuitive and deeply rooted in how we naturally organize information anyway. So let's break this down into strict layman's terms. Logic stacks are exactly what they sound like. You are stacking logic. Instead of typing out open-ended commands and just hoping for the best, you're utilizing the source feature to literally build your prompt. Imagine physical blocks of information. You take a source document, maybe it's a report, a set of guidelines, or a specific data set, and you just stack it into the AI's workspace. You are physically constructing the foundation of your request with concrete sources. You aren't just talking to the AI anymore, you are equipping it.
To really hammer this home, let's look at this direct quote from our source material. The text explicitly defines this practice as utilizing the source feature to build a prompt, as opposed to traditional text prompts. This is the definitive statement that we are officially moving away from the era of plain text commands. We are transitioning from being writers of prompts to builders of prompts. It changes your entire posture when you sit down at the keyboard. You aren't drafting a message, you're compiling a resource kit.
And this brilliantly illustrates our next point. If you are the one providing the blueprints and all the materials, what exactly is the AI doing? Well, it steps into an entirely new role. It becomes your project manager. When you use LogicStacks, the AI stops being this wild, creative brainstorming partner that might suddenly go off on a weird tangent, and it adopts a highly organized, highly operational posture. The source material gives this role a very specific and, frankly, powerful title: the project manager of human intent. This completely redefines the AI's job description for the everyday user. It is no longer some magic text generator that you pose questions to like a digital oracle. It is a highly focused manager whose sole dedicated purpose is to execute your exact human intent, based entirely on the materials you just stacked for it. It manages the project that you designed. Let's walk through exactly how this works in practice with a simple three-step breakdown. Step 1. You formulate your human intent. What's the goal? What is the actual project? Step 2. You provide the source materials using LogicStacks. You hand over those blueprints. And Step 3, the AI takes over to manage the project. It synthesizes, it organizes, and it executes based strictly on Steps 1 and 2. Look at how incredibly operational this is. Once you stop treating the AI like a glorified search engine and start treating it like a project manager, your workflow becomes streamlined, predictable, and highly efficient.
Let's move on and see how this builds, because a good project manager needs to know exactly what is in scope. Because the AI is now operating within the LogicStacks framework, it has strict operational boundaries. It knows exactly what it's allowed to use to build your project, and more importantly, it knows exactly what it is supposed to ignore.
This brings us to a crucial distinction: curated data versus pre-programmed themes. When you use LogicStacks, the AI can and must work with the precise, curated data you provide. That's your source stack. What it cannot and should not rely upon are its generic, pre-programmed themes. It basically leaves behind its vast general assumptions and narrows its entire worldview down to the specific, curated information you just handed it. It totally ignores the generic to focus entirely on the specific.
As our source material explicitly states, the AI acting as the project manager of human intent is grounded in curated data rather than just pre-programmed themes. That word grounded is incredibly important here. The AI is fully anchored to the specific materials you provide. It is tethered to your sources. This is the exact mechanism that keeps the AI from wandering off into generic assumptions or hallucinating made-up information. It doesn't need to guess anymore. It literally just looks at the curated data you gave it.
So, the crucial point is really summarizing these exact operational capabilities. The AI acts as a project manager. It strictly executes your human intent. It completely grounds itself in your curated data, and it ignores its generic pre-programmed themes. For you, the user, this means you are in total control of the build. The unpredictability of AI is completely replaced by the reliability of a manager who is strictly following a blueprint.
To bring this all together, think back to our house building analogy. The paradigm has completely shifted. You are no longer just a person yelling verbal instructions at a chaotic construction site. You are the architect. You design the intent, you gather the specific materials, and you define the logic. The AI is simply the manager, executing the build exactly to your specifications using only the materials you provided. This is exactly how you unlock the true operational power of AI.
Which leaves us with this final thought. Now that you know you don't have to rely on generic text prompts, now that you know you can stack the logic, define the intent, and appoint the AI as your operational manager, the power is entirely in your hands. So, I leave you with this challenge. What curated data will you hand your AI project manager today? Go build something incredible. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll see you next time.